Literally, we used to set up all of our systems and everything in such a way. Go, come back, take out the SD card, put it in. The format is already ready. Plug it in, do a little bit of audio editing here and there, cut. Export, post, done. Sometimes we've executed and put out a video within like 13 minutes or 10 minutes. Live video that was short, okay? There were some times where it got bad. And that toxic positivity was like, no, this is good. This is good. This is a good job. But sometimes bad experiences are bad experiences. There's nothing you can learn from some experiences. In the modern world, if you don't have a LinkedIn, you're not taken seriously.
Ed Sheeran,
Overrated.
Justin Bieber.
Underrated.
Manufactured by Hindustan Coca-Cola Beverages.
We went back to the drawing board, scrapped the first video, and then we put up the second one. It's not like, hey, we do this, we do that. It's like, yo, we're all about this. It's a little bit of show off and stuff like that. And I feel like people resonate with that because it shows your capability.
Namaste everyone and welcome back to another episode of 3XP. I'm Kunal Raj and today we have someone who has worked for a lot of brands, to be specific 130 plus. And a side note, if I miss out anything in the intro, please don't hate on me. Okay, so he's a writer, he's a content creator, he's a UI UX designer, entrepreneur, and the list grows on as we progress. So Shawn, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you so much for having me, man.
And I'm really glad that we are finally doing this. So are you kind of a person who is too picky with the design?
I am a person who is very, very picky with the design.
Who gives a lot of revisions?
Yeah. I mean, I've had it from the other side. As like when I was a designer, when I used to do execution myself and then clients would do it. So I kind of understand that you don't get your best work until you've, gone through it a few times. But for the sake of my employees, I try to give them as many changes together as possible. But yeah, it does happen quite a bit.
And I give revisions, I give them limited or the same way.
Exactly.
And it's a huge achievement that you have been featured in major publications, right? Rolling Stone, then Times of India. And with that pace of getting featured, I think you might start out your own magazine or maybe a newspaper. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, it's a dream, definitely. But I think I'd want to do something more on the musical side, probably like, a channel or like a record label or something like that. Because I've always noticed that after I do the execution, like, for example, music, after I did performance for so many years, like in a few bands and stuff, then I went into the production side of things, then I go into the management side and like this. So I think a record label makes the most sense. Maybe a magazine once somewhere down the line, you never know. I get bored very easily. So
from when you have been in music?
I was a very picky kid and a very spoiled kid. So one day, one uncle of mine bought a keyboard from like Canada, like one of those toy keyboards, and gifted it to another cousin of mine, okay? And I got very jealous about it. So I told my mom that, hey, I want one. And after a lot of back and forth, like, if we get you one, you have to learn how to play and you have to go for classes. I'm like, okay, no intention of doing it. I was like, okay, I just wanted one. So they got me one. I went on to a few classes. It kind of weaned off a bit. And then I found Linkin Park. And then I picked up the guitar, and from there, like, that was music. Technically, I learned how to play as a kid. I didn't take any exams or anything. I learned classical piano. But then, like, you can say like the age of 6 or something like that. But then the age of 13, when teenage angst hit, when I found Linkin Park, I'm like, I want to do that on guitar. So I'm going to go and do that. So you can say like from the age of 13. So right, 13, 14 years now.
So coming back to your business side, right? I'll get straight to the point. Like you have started your own venture, right?
Yeah.
Creative Jewel. So if a company needs to approach for work for two bigger companies, what is the way?
So this is actually, there are different levels of doing it, and I've slowly found out. In India, you normally need a good pitch. You need to show them that you have handled that amount of work before. Make a nice pitch deck, show all of your work and everything. Show them the size of your team. Make it as convincing as possible. Go have a meeting. If it works out, it works out. But as you keep going up higher, you will notice that you need a lot of technical things sorted. A lot of companies don't do business with smaller companies that don't have a GST number. I think the best way is just to learn how to present your work and present the team and show them that these people are capable of pulling the work off.
But how you reach out to them?
So I'll tell you how I do it very specifically. I have a few BDs, business developers, but these people are slightly older and slightly more experienced in the field. and they have a lot of connections. So I feel for me it's worked out really well, where I've even met some of these people just over like Joseph Bar or something. I asked them like, hey, what's up, and like we started establishing a business relationship. Okay, what do you do, what do we do, just trying to talk and connect with as many people as possible. Wherever you get a chance, you will strike that gold. Other than that, from a technical perspective, I guess you can go on like, I don't do LinkedIn. I don't actually do marketing much, which is a very funny thing. Despite like we get business, but I've not done, I put out one commercial. That was it. So I think I'm lucky in a way that I constantly do PR, whether it's for myself, whether it's for the company, and then your name is out there, right? So then clients start coming your way. But I prefer to work with the older people because the quality of clients that they bring in, the level of professionalism in those clients is a little bit better rather than working with someone that your own age group might bring in.
What about freelancer who is starting out? How he has to go through agencies, or what is the route?
So, fun story about my company. We started as freelancers. Okay, that was how it was. I was working a job in Bombay, and obviously in Bombay you need extra cash always. So suddenly I just put out, like, I updated my portfolio and I just put a story out like on Instagram. I started just like trying to post to see if I can get a little bit of work here and there. And people started approaching me for freelance work. Then what started happening is, as I kept going ahead, like, okay, I did a UI, I mostly do UI design, UI UX. So I did one project, and the person who was on that project, they liked the work so much that they brought another one for us. And then after that, they were like, hey, do you also know someone who can develop this site? So I had a friend. We started working together. So I'm doing the design, he's doing the development. And after that, again, we started getting design plus development. Then people started asking us, hey, can you also do like marketing, or like, can you make a video edit? Can you do social media? Slowly, this kept happening. Why? Because the first work that we published and the first thing that we showed for a new client was always really good. So it's a matter of referral. I think as a freelancer, you can approach agencies. I would say don't, because what happens is then you're on their timeline and you're on it becomes a corporate 9 to 5 job, which I feel freelancers don't want to be in purposely, because we don't want. I am still technically freelancing in a way. I still do consultancies here and there. And I want to be able to end my workday at 5 and not do anything. Or I want to be able to wake up at 12. I can. Sometimes you have to sleep at 12. That's a different thing.
I really love the philosophy of your brand, what you have put, that it is more of expertise in all the domains. I really agree. But then with expertise, the cost will increase, right? So how you sustain for the long term?
So my business model is pretty simple. So I call it like the sacrificial model, if there is such a thing. Me and my partner, his name is Sita. He is my chief technology officer. So he and I, what we do is we work on the big fish. We work on the big systems, get all of the cash in, save up that cash, and then pay for employees. So anytime we're running a little low on cash, we know that, okay, the two of us need to put our heads together, just sacrifice a little bit of cash, sacrifice some time, get those big clients in, get that work in, and then save that up, and then employees. So I feel like long-term planning wise, we do that business model, we get a few big projects, we save it up so that, okay, even worst case, a project drops off for whatever reason, then we can pay salaries for like 2 or 3 months till we get another one. I think 3 months is that golden period where if anything happens within 3 months, you can do something about it. Like, for example, 3 months, a project goes off, you can find another one. Or 3 months, you don't have an employee, a person wants to leave, you can find another person within 3 months.
So you are into business now and you are into content as well, right? So like Tanmay Bhatt, what he does content, he has his business ventures, right? On Instagram, when you're putting content, is it purely entertainment based or a bit of, subtle marketing?
It's very blatant marketing. It's not subtle at all. So I feel like as a businessman who has like a lot of capability, a team that has a lot of capability, it's good to showcase your capability. So I although the music is more of a personal thing for me, but still I like to put it out there so that people know that how this guy sings. Maybe we can get him for like a open mic, or he might want to feature on my song, something like that. But they won't know until you put it out there. So it's the same philosophy. I like putting out content. I like fun story with my commercial, right? The Creative Jewel commercial that went out. We actually made one version first. And one of my like DOPs, part of my team, he's like, this sucks. Why are you half-assing it? It's you are putting this out. You're launching your brand for the first time. It has to be killer because people have to look at that and they should know what you're capable of. So we spent a little bit more time. We went back to the drawing board, scrapped the first video, and then we put up the second one. And it's not like, hey, we do this, we do that. It's like, yo, we're like, yeah, we're all about this. It's a little bit of show off and stuff like that. And I feel like people resonate with that because it shows your capability. I also want them to know that I can speak. I want them to know that I can hold a conversation. They're like, oh, this guy is able to speak well on the camera. So then he might be able to have a good conversation, maybe get invited on a podcast or something. And businessmen in general, they look for good communicators because they also need to understand that, okay, this person understands what I need. When you have a good communication element going on, even if your work doesn't go out, as long as they know that, okay, this person knows what we want. So I feel like whether it's my podcast, which I used to do, or whether it's like the music, these days I'm putting out a lot of music, or whether it's like the design, whether it's like once in a while, the food, or whatever it is, I think all of it is always for me building my brand and now building the company. And it is subtle or blatant marketing.
Yeah, and also you talk about mental health in a podcast when you started, right? Yeah. I've seen this term going on LinkedIn, toxic positivity. LinkedIn is becoming. What is your view on that?
So I think there can be such a thing as toxic positivity where no matter what happens, you have to be positive. I don't believe that. I would like it to be the case where no matter what happens, okay, let's do this. Let's do this. But then what do you do if something bad is happening to you, but you don't accept it, right? So this was my attitude when I was working at a corporate. Okay, I loved my job, by the way. I loved what I've done, and I'm very grateful to whoever I worked with and whoever I worked for. But there were some times where it got bad, and that toxic positivity was like, no, this is good.
Yeah.
This is good. This is a good job.
Yeah.
That I think
is a good experience.
This is a good experience. I think it's nice to say that, okay, this happened, it's fine, I can learn from it. But sometimes bad experiences are bad experiences.
Yes.
There's nothing you can learn from some experiences. Bad stuff happens sometimes, it's okay. Stuff happened. But no, this is a good thing. I don't think that's a very healthy, because then you miss out on things that are actually damaging you, miss out on things that are actually hurting you, and you don't grow as a person.
Can you tell me 3 ways to grow on LinkedIn from the experience accumulated?
Okay. So the first main thing I think is having a very well updated and detailed profile, because LinkedIn is your CV. In the modern world, if you don't have a LinkedIn, you're not taken seriously. So everything that you've done properly has to be updated. That is the first thing. The second thing is you should always, now LinkedIn content is getting really popular. So all of these inspirational stories and then, so I feel like if you're dedicating time, make a nice carousel, make some nice, if you're good at something, for example, if you just put out one simple post on top 5 editing hacks, that constantly putting out that content gets you a lot of attention on LinkedIn. And the third thing is just use the tools that LinkedIn has. It is amazing, the tools that LinkedIn has for like reaching out, for getting anything done.
Which tools?
I'm talking about like the job finder tools or the InMail, stuff like that. All of these are really good. I get a lot of InMail, which is basically you, instead of sending a message only after you friend someone on LinkedIn, only then you can you can message them, right? Only after they accept it. But if you have InMail, then it goes directly. I might be wrong about the name.
Maybe premium.
Yeah, so premium is another which includes like 5-6 different things. But my point is that the tools that LinkedIn gives you, right, from the job portals and all of those are very powerful. So people should spend more time and understand what it's capable of.
Should go run away from reels and go on LinkedIn.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. I haven't put out a reel in like a year.
How much time is reel consuming your life? No?
It consumes a lot of time, trust me.
Moving from your LinkedIn journey to the singing part, you're a great singer.
Thanks, man.
You're back on track, right?
I took a break for a while and then now I'm in the cover mode. Just put out a few songs. Whenever I get some free time, I'm just like, what do I do? It's like, oh, I can sing. Might as well just say record something.
Related to music, we'll have a short game. Like I'll put some name of the singers. You tell me whether it is overrated, underrated, perfectly rated, or you don't have never heard of them?
Fair enough.
Ed Sheeran,
Overrated.
Justin Bieber,
Underrated.
underrated now.
Now.
Yeah. Drake,
Overrated.
Bruno Mars,
Perfectly rated.
Jason Derulo,
Overrated.
Cardi B,
Overrated.
Olivia Rodrigo,
Severely underrated. She is amazing.
Eminem,
Perfectly rated. The GOAT man.
Harry Styles,
Harry Styles, a little overrated.
Katy Perry,
Perfectly rated. She's pretty good.
Lady Gaga,
Severely underrated. She is an amazing singer.
Kanye West.
That's a little controversial these days. But I think he is like people don't know his music as much in India. Really underrated when it comes to music. Overrated in many other different ways.
Yeah, it is better like when you're in the flow state, better you record.
Exactly. I just went. So I'm also like working on new stuff and everything, but that's more of a backseat for now. I just feel like I want to practice, get my vocals up there, practice some of the songs that I've always wanted to do. But see, singing, right, is a very skill thing. Some people are born with it. Some people, if you put enough work, your voice opens up, you can hit high notes. I'm able to hit notes that I never could before, and I don't want to lose that, which is why I take every chance that, okay, I'll keep singing, put out a cover, go live, go to an open mic, go to karaoke, so that it's constantly happening there.
Yeah, because even I have experienced like when there is a long break, then the voice.
It makes a lot of difference. I mean, you would know with the speaking on the podcast and stuff like that, right? So whenever I used to do a lot of voiceovers back in like when I was working with the Growth Gravy and we used to handle IFFI, all of those big videos that they played IFFI during the opening and closing ceremony, I used to actually voice those. And then I noticed when I took a long break, now though I don't do it, but I took a long break and then I'm like, where did my voice go? It took me like 1 hour to like practice and get it back to that. Otherwise it was like, I'll give you an example, okay? It doesn't come easily, but if I'm just practicing, okay? It's like,
Manufactured by Hindustan Coca-Cola Beverages.
so you have to get back into that mind space. I don't know how it happens, but it happens. But last time that I tried to do it, it took me like a good hour to get back into it. I'm practicing and I'm speaking all the time. I'm singing all the time. So this gets, a good amount of views.
Yeah, and sometimes if you speak a lot also, then it starts burning.
I don't have that problem.
No. Talking about singing, there English songs in India is a kind of a niche. There are a few exceptions, but it's a niche.
It is.
Right. So there are any chances you feel it when it will go to mainstream?
See, music is a cultural thing. Okay, so I don't think that it even makes sense to have English music in India become famous. It's never going to become. It's always going to be a niche because there is no one who can. It's a market supply versus demand thing, right? I was actually surprised. I don't remember the exact number, but someone told me some time back, like on Spotify or something like that. I could be completely wrong, but I'm still correct about the fact that it's an unbelievable number. The amount of English music that's like listened to in India is somewhere close to like 3% or 4% of the
So less.
Exactly. I can't remember the exact number. My point is that when you see the number, you'll be like, what? And that puts things in perspective. That it is always going to be a niche because most of our population is not English speaking. If you want to be successful in music, especially English music, you go where it's not a niche, where it's the main thing, where it's the industry. Like if you want a good tech job, you obviously don't stay in Goa, you go to Bangalore. I want to change that. I hope I can change that. My point is you usually go to Bangalore, you go to Bombay, and it's fine. That's where it is. So I think for English music, we need to all go abroad. And that's usually where most of the stuff happens.
So talking about mental health will connect to that. Music has helped you like in the freelancing state and building your company.
So see, I've struggled with anxiety most of my life, which is why I'm very vocal about it. So music is something that calms me down anytime, almost anytime. And it has definitely helped me because it's calming me down most of the time or it gives me something to think about. For me, it's more of an intellectual exercise listening to music than it is like an enjoyment thing. I like to dissect, like, when you watch a movie, you don't actually watch the movie. You only look at how they're editing everything. So
yes, for sure.
So for I'm just saying, as a creator, you of course do enjoy movies from time to time, but don't you pay a lot of attention to those kinds of things? Like
90% of the time.
90% of the time, right? It's the same thing with me when it comes to music. So for me, it either is something very enjoyable or it's an intellectual thing. But music is one thing that is with me. I literally listen to music almost 24/7. From the time I get up till the time I go to sleep, I am always listening to music. Something is always going on.
What do you vibe on the most?
Prog metal. So it's this.
Hearing it for the first time.
Yeah, progressive metal. So it is a subgenre of metal where it has all of the heaviness of traditional thrash metal and stuff like that, all of your Metallica and stuff, very heavy stuff. But it has the complexity of jazz. Okay, so you'll have these things, kind of terms when you listen to prog metal, you'll come across terms like polyrhythms and weird time signatures. So it appeals to the musical nerd in me a lot, and it just messes with your head because you'll expect one beat to go like 1, 2, 3, 4, but suddenly there'll be a 5. So then like very weird stuff, and I like weird stuff like that. It just makes you think about music in a completely different way.
And talking about music, your mom is a good singer, right?
Yeah.
She teaches as well.
Yeah, she's a teacher at Bosco's, Don Bosco Panjim, and she's the inspiration for my music. I started playing instruments because I could never sing like her. She was too good, and then I realized that okay, it's your own voice that you embrace. Because she can sing really, really well.
She has influenced you professionally?
Not as much. Like she's influenced my habits when it comes to my work, but not because she's a teacher. I tried teaching and it wasn't really my thing.
You are a lecturer also, right?
Yeah. So I was a lecturer at a NetTech startup called Skill Studio for a while, which was my ex-company Growth Gravy's brand in Goa. So I've taught 14,000 students over there across webinars and across my courses. I have like 5 or 6 courses still out there. But then I started, it wasn't my thing, because then what happens is you don't have that interaction online. So then I also thought about it, okay, should I try teaching? But then I always knew that I was more of like a tech guy, execution guy. I don't like talking about it. I'd rather go ahead and like execute a project, something like that, which is why it never happened. But she's influenced my work habits. She's very meticulous. She's very organized. She's very fast with her work. She's a good communicator. So all of those things I've picked up from her very easily.
What do you used to teach?
What I used to.
Yeah, lecture. Design?
Yeah,
Related?
mostly design things, UI UX design, graphic design, a little bit of video editing, a little bit of portfolio building, stuff like that.
But it was like one way, right? Like you were teaching on...
There was a good mix of it.
There used to be videos on net, right? Like students acting crazy or some raid.
Yeah, that happened. Luckily, it didn't happen to me. Luckily, it did. But that is also because I was relatively a young guy, right? So when this thing started, I was just 25, 26. And they didn't have that, oh, this guy's an old guy and he's trying to teach us. And we're like, okay. They wouldn't mess with you. I'll mess back with them, like if they try to mess with me.
Yeah, because I had seen on video they're telling that old person, you press Alt and F.
Alt F4 and
yeah, that they are searching. Band ho gaya kare. Yeah, if you could get any artist for the next song to collaborate with.
Machine Gun Kelly. I don't even have to think about it. I love that guy. So Machine Gun Kelly is like, so most people know him from the diss that he made on Eminem, but he has a good rock career going. He's a Grammy nominated artist now. So I feel like now every generation has their rock star, and he's the current rock star. For what Kurt Cobain was for the 90s, he is for the 2010s to the 2020s. He's making it cool to play guitar again, which I am very happy about. He's making rock a thing back in the mainstream because he's this pop, he was this rapper, and then he's there. He's very popular, by the way, very popular. Using that fame and bringing rock back into the mainstream. Rock has been dead for a while. I am a huge rock fan, but it has been dead for a long time in the mainstream. But this guy's bringing it back. And that is why I just love the guy. And he's really talented.
People ask sometimes weird questions regarding to music. What weird questions you get?
They just ask me to sing songs which I don't like to sing. I don't get any weird things anymore. I used to get a lot when I used to perform on stage. I used to get a lot of weird comments, get a lot of stuff thrown on the... if you get what I mean.
They're like, we are talking to CEO of Creative Jules. Let's be, with that.
Yeah, now it's a different vibe entirely.
Let's send like dear sir.
Yes, dear sir. I'm still getting used to being called sir. It's such a funny thing because because I've thought also people used to call me sir, and then I had interns from engineering colleges, so they were calling me sir. Now it's reached a point where I go to these colleges or I go for an event and everyone there also
the entire college is calling you sir.
Yeah, I'm just not used to it as yet, and I don't think I ever want to be. I would rather prefer bro. If everyone in the business community in India and beyond refer to each other as bro.
Interns calling you bro.
I don't mind. I do not mind. It's like, bro, can you help me out with this? Can you do this? Can you do that? Because I feel like that respect thing does not come from calling someone sir. I think it's a very how you behave kind of thing. Showing respect to someone is not how you address them all the time. It is just how you treat them, how you give them the way of speaking. Like if they are talking, if there is a conversation going on, you don't cut them off, for example, is one way. So respect and calling sir is like a different thing entirely.
Yeah, and talking about Shawn speaks, like you speak for 5 episodes and then it went over. People know that you used to do podcast and all.
Yeah,
because
they
it
did.
is like somewhere down your profile,
Yeah,
right?
it's very old. It was the pandemic. What I felt like is now when the pandemic hit, I started going live a lot because I like speaking. Okay, I think that's pretty obvious. But then we weren't meeting anyone, right? So I started sharing my thoughts online, and then someone was like, "You should start a podcast." I'm like, "That sounds like a good idea." So I started a podcast. I did a few episodes and it felt good. But then I used to space them out really well and it worked out for 5 episodes. But the only problem was then the lockdown got lifted and then people started absorbing short form content on Instagram compared to long form. So YouTube is where it was, but then people started doing, and also I realized that I could get more, outreach by doing music rather than doing the podcast. So it was a very natural progression. I did a podcast a lot. And then I started putting music out at the same time. And then a lot of people were like, hey, you should do your own stuff. You should come up with originals. So then I started dedicating myself to the music thing.
Okay, and what do you feel the craze is at one place that short form people are watching, and here some people are watching 1 hour podcast? What do you feel that?
I feel like podcasts should be long form because you are listening to a conversation or you're listening to someone's thoughts, right? It's like watching a movie. If not, then it's like a micro series like what I plan to put out. So it might technically not be a podcast. But I feel like it is podcasts actually picking up quite a bit again now. And I feel like the long form ones are getting a lot of traction. I don't think it's going to get saturated because it's not as invasive, right? You're watching a video, you have to hold your phone up. Listen to a podcast, just wear your earphones, and it's like music. So it's a very non-invasive thing. And I think those people are still able to. So I don't think it's going to get saturated anytime soon.
People are preferring to watch more of video podcasts, and people like to watch.
Yeah, it adds. I actually have a theory on that. It just engages more senses. It becomes a more like experiential thing. So I think it's a good thing because it adds a layer. Like you always listen to them, but those facial expressions, like I'll say something funny and then the camera catches all of that, and that adds to the whole experience. So it's good to have that filter, but I think it's good to have
otherwise you'll have some 3D experience over there.
Exactly.
Crashing otherwise.
Exactly. So let's keep it. It's good to have options of both, I think.
Because even when we post it on Spotify and when I'm traveling, I listen while.
Exactly. Works out really well.
And what about yours? You have been into IFFI and all, no? You have been doing videos also IFFI.
Yeah. So
how was the vibe and everything, energy over there?
IFFI was pretty fun. A lot of stuff would happen. A lot of crazy. And it was like a 24/7 thing. Team would be working late in the night and I would edit, and so I used to handle like the media side of the entire thing, not the team, not the cinematographers, but the editing and the graphics and the online and stuff like that.
Same day edit kind of?
Oh yeah, same day edit, sometimes 5, 6. Oh, I'll tell you my timelines. Interview happens right now. Within 30 minutes, a video edit goes out.
On Insta?
On Insta, Facebook, Twitter, everything. 30 minutes, and that is also a lot. It literally, we used to set up all of our systems and everything in such a way. Go, come back, take out the SD card, put it in. The format is already ready. Plug it in, do a little bit of audio editing here and there, cut. Export. Back then I didn't use a Mac, but if there was, then it would be like an airdrop. Post. Done. Sometimes we've executed and put out a video within like 13 minutes or 10 minutes. Live video that was shot, okay? Edited. And also what used to happen is when the event is going on, right? We used to have control of the social media handle. So the news had to go out first from us, but the news would not reach us first. We would have to be in the audience waiting to get the announcements. So then the team was completely set up over there to do that. Graphic templates and all of those were ready. And what we would do is we would keep all of those ready, like the nominees say. And then, okay, this one won. Quickly edit it, put the winner, this, that, send it out. 5 minutes. 5 minutes. It was a different level of experience, bro. It was really fun, but also really hectic.
How is the energy over there besides your work like IFFI.
It's
I've
you
not
meet a
been
lot
there.
of celebrities. You meet a lot of, so it's very funny where you'll just walk and it'll be like, oh, hey, Shah Rukh Khan. Not really, but
But other co-stars.
yeah, co-stars and all. You'll just be like, oh, this, I know this person from somewhere. Like, oh my god, this is that person. Like, I've had a good time. Like at this, and these celebs are very down to earth. The only reason that they are little like distant from you is because otherwise people will like bother them, and I don't like that.
Some fans
side
and
of
all,
it.
they just
Absolutely, I don't like that side of the whole event. But I like that if you're an organizer, then you end up meeting all of these people all the time. It's pretty fun.
So there are a lot of businesses coming up, and since you have worked in top agencies like Growth Gravy, The Glitch, VMLYR, okay, and then finally you started your venture, right? So what has acted as a catalyst to? I see a lot of catalysts already, but what acted as?
There was actually a very specific thing that made me want to start the business. Okay, so I was at the Glitch, and they're one of the best agencies in Bombay. My director had to take a leave for a week. Okay, now this was in the emerging technologies department at the Glitch, and I was a UI UX designer. I was the lead guy over there. Our team was very small. We were barely like 6 or 7 of us. I was doing a lot of client interaction. Hence, when my director had to take a break, he put me in charge of the entire thing for a week. Like, no, you handle it. It's fine. You'll be able to handle it. I don't know why he thought that I could handle it, but he said, okay. And I was like, okay, cool. What? I mean, he's my boss, right? What am I supposed to say? No. He put on his emails, if in case of anything, get in touch with Shawn. Or when anyone would reply to send an email to him. And then I got into. Then what happened is I got into the financial side of it. I had to check for a week, right? So then one of our internal team members said, hey, can you just see if you have this file? And then I saw how all of the projects are structured, what cash flow is, what a statement is, this and that, and financial matrices and stuff like that. And I was just like, okay, I picked it up pretty quickly, came back, and I did a good job at it. Then I realized that, okay, maybe this is something that I can do. That was the catalyst. That was one very, very specific catalyst. To be honest, like a catalyst also, I don't know if it was a catalyst. I just had that inclination always to do something of my own. And it was just that one moment where like, okay, now I know that I can do it. If I can handle one department for a week for a company like The Glitch, then I think I can do my own thing. I feel. So that just went ahead and got it started, man.
Any tips from your marketing experience to anyone?
Into marketing, I think you have to learn more. You have to learn a lot of execution as a marketing person. I think it comes in very handy. If you're not a graphic designer, learn Canva. If you're not a copywriter, learn how to use Grammarly to help your stuff get better. I sound like an ad agency right now. My point is, it is always a good skill to have to understand what your teammates are working on, because then you also are able to help them in a way. For example, when I used to work at a certain job, I used to be the graphic designer over there. My first time as a graphic / UI UX designer. The person who used to work on some of the campaigns, they would find the stock images for me because they were much better at it than I was. I'm not the artistic guy. I'm more of the tech guy when it comes. I can pull off some very good technical stuff, but I can't draw. Or I don't have that great a taste when it comes to like picking images and all. Design though is there, just not stuff like that. What I realized is, as a marketing person in general, learning the execution side of it is very important. And the other thing is just stay in touch with what's happening in the world. Do not follow reels that are only TikTok dances. Follow reels that are news and stuff like that. If you're not in touch with what's going on in the world, you are not into marketing.
Yeah, since we're talking about current trends, right? Bigger companies, layoffs and all these things are going up. Meta is also declining. What do you think? The bigger companies are declining and smaller companies are picking up. What is the case?
That's honestly always going to be the trend with... See, it depends on how you measure a decline. So Meta going down right now is possibly just a blip. It could be that whatever money and time they have invested into the metaverse might actually pay off. But now people are like, oh, they were all like, they changed their name and then they invested billions of dollars and nothing's coming out of it. It's not a 5-minute thing. It's a few years thing. So we have to be a little patient and understand. And as a business owner, I've noticed that sometimes things will go down. But it's more of like a sacrificial thing, not necessarily a bad thing all the time. Revenue goes down, then revenue will double. Revenue will go down a little bit.
4 times.
Yeah, and then it'll go 8 times, 12 times. Very normal. But I feel like the bigger companies, some of them have reached a saturation point, and there is a way coming in for the newer, younger companies. Like, I just noticed, like, I was watching a video on MKBHD video the other day. I can't remember, I think it's a new EV company, and they one up Tesla's base model in every way. Better in every way. Better range, better 0 to 60, better design, better comfort. And I'm like, oh my God, Tesla themselves were so amazing. But it's going to happen. You reach a saturation point once you get popular. I mean, no one's still going to suddenly go for this new company. But what I'm saying is that it's good that younger companies come up all the time, because we get good variations of stuff. Because now, if Facebook, Instagram, and WhatsApp, if anything happens to one of them, everything goes down. Suddenly we can't talk to people because it's all one company, right? They use similar servers, they use the same servers sometimes, they have the same infrastructure. So if something goes down, everything goes down. So having that variety and having different people come up with new products, I wish there was a new social media platform. I think Mastodon is picking up right now. It gives us variations, and consumers, we enjoy something.
Okay, talking about Twitter, like, let's get some Elon Musk topic.
Oh, Elon Musk.
Some people say he's a genius, some people say man-child. What is your view on that?
I think he's a genius. His is not a rags to riches story for sure, because his dad owned like an emerald mine or something like that. Mom was a famous model for so many years. He doesn't come from a poor background for sure. But that man is brilliant. The things that he has pulled off. I have an opinion about the Twitter thing. I don't think he took it as like just as a public, oh, okay, I have the money, I'm going to go buy this platform as like you know what level of paperwork it takes, first of all, to be able to buy a company like that. These decisions can't be taken lightly. You don't get to be the world's richest person on the Forbes list without doing something genius. I feel. And I feel he's one of those controversial figures like Machine Gun Kelly. I'm always drawn to controversial figures. So Machine Gun Kelly, right? I'll bring him back for a second. He is a rock star. Really talented guy, but people hate him. Why do people hate him? Because of that whole Eminem diss that happened, right? And everyone hates him now also, because they're still like, then he says some controversial things. But you cannot deny his talent. It's the same with Elon Musk. He does act a little irrational sometimes. He does act a little kiddish. But I look at it as like Tony Stark level of, isn't he awesome like that? It's a hope that whatever his behavior is, whatever he does, like he jokes around and does like irresponsible stuff, as long as it's not hurting anyone, I think it's fine. So I have an opinion on the whole Twitter thing. I don't think that he's acquired it just like that. I think he has acquired it because it's going to help him with Neuralink. So if you don't know, Neuralink is basically developing a chip that you'll be able to insert and interact. So there's a lot of capability when it comes to like superhuman capability, basically, intellectually. And I feel like the data that he's going to get from Twitter is really going to help with Neuralink. He has not got it for the social media platform. He's got it for, where else do you get that data? You know what, that 43 billion is going to be worth 100 billion once he learns how to use it. So it's my opinion though. So no one will ever know.
Some long-term thinking.
Yeah. He thinks very long-term and he's very smart like that.
Since you are into that startup kind of thing, right? So what about Shark Tank India? Was it overhyped, or what do you feel?
I think it was hyped, and I think it is a good thing that even if it was overhyped, I think it is a good thing, because it brought that culture of startups and that culture of like thinking about work into India. At least it was not always there. Let's be honest about that. Everyone rather goes for a job than do their own thing. When I think Shark Tank, suddenly everyone's like, okay, what is your valuation? What is this? What is that? They talk about these terms. I think it's a good thing.
Before we conclude, when are you planning to drop your album?
Oh, okay. So
Major reveal, guys.
Yeah, no. So I'll just tell you two things, okay? One, it's coming not soon, but just soon enough, because I'll talk about the album a little bit. So I'm working on a new album right now, and it's a complete rock direction. It is not like my first album, which was like a pop/electronic kind of thing, but this time it's going to be complete rock. And it's not a small project. It's not an EP. It's going to have at least 12 songs on it. So that's why it's going to take a little bit of time. Working title right now is Unhinged. So yeah, I mean, I'm very excited about it. So let's see whenever it does come out. It'll come out relatively soon. A lot of work to put into an album.
I think, that was pretty much with this podcast. Hope you enjoyed listening. Shawn again, Kunal this side, and all the links in the description, and or idhar se bas kaat dete.